NBC reports only 19%, less than 1 in 5 Americans feel confident that their children's lives will be better than their own generation. That means that 81% are not confident that it will be better. That's the lowest since NBC started asking the question in the 1990s. So here's a bit of advice for the weekend, because a lot of people are passionate about this. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about politics. Turns out most of us don't want to talk about politics at the Thanksgiving table. There's always one, right? It's always one crazy uncle. But a new poll shows 60% of people will try their darndest to avoid talking politics at Thanksgiving. The other 30% are looking to engage. Feel free to not give them dessert. So if you're part of the minority, there's no one better to go to for advice than Alexander Heffner, host of Bread and Butter, new TV series that features conversations with politicians of both sides of the aisle. I guess the question would be, do we have conversations with both sides, or do we just ignore both sides and talk about sports and how good the apple pie is?
Well, we talk about that as the entry point. I think culinary life can unite us in ways that most other things are incapable of doing. The program you mentioned, Breaking Bread, is designed to be that, to use food as a mode of conversation. But we have to recognize as Americans that it starts with us as citizens modeling the type of discourse that we want to see. So if we want to see ideologically rigid, vernacular, viciousness in the dialogue and the discourse governing our country and determining decisions, then I suppose we would model that behavior. But I think the vast majority of us want to see our elected office holders find solutions to problems, and therefore, it underscores the importance of civility in the discourse to get to the point of solving a problem.
Yeah, let me ask you this, though. Really, around our Thanksgiving table, we're not going to solve any problems. We're not going to bring world peace. We're not going to fix the deficit. We're not going to solve the culture wars. Is it kind of better just to enjoy the food?
I suppose it depends on your company, right? It depends on your perhaps understanding of their context and whether their resentments overtake their aspirations. The way I like to think about American political life is it's always a rivalry of angels and demons, or as I think of it in a contemporary context, aspirations and resentments. So no, you're not going to solve problems, but if we see representative government as the solution in a democratic process that values both democratic values and human values, then the solution can start at home. I'll give you one example. People think that voting is the most universal act of American citizenship. More people pay their taxes than vote. And when we pay our taxes each year, we don't get a thank you from Uncle Sam. We don't see a pie chart delineating expenditures at the municipal, state, or federal level. But there are things in the spirit of being human that can lift our morale. And I think that can, not necessarily, but it can start with our neighbors and our families and extend then to the town square.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, the idea of giving thanks is a uniquely American holiday, right? As is the concept that our rights come from God, that we give thanks to, not from government or fellow man. It was a great conversation. Thank you. We will all be better for it when we sit around and listen to a crazy uncle say something we disagree with. We'll talk soon. Good to see you.
Take care.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.